Thanks for using an SM7B to record, by the way.
Oh, does it sound good actually on your side?
Yeah, they
Okay.
just, it's just it. It's the moment.
Yeah, it is. It's the trend at the moment, anyways.
I was in the studio last week and we had a whole discussion about it because one guy who was in, he was saying, "Oh, I told my friend that I bought an SM7B," and he got so judgmental. He was like, "You're such a sheep." And
No
we're like,
way.
sorry. There's a reason why everyone buys them. There's a reason
Yeah,
why
they're
everyone
good.
uses them. There's a
Yeah.
reason why somehow it's a microphone that I think technically isn't supposed to be a studio mic, but everyone uses in the studio.
If anybody says that to me like that, I was in Max Martin's studio and he has two of these. So
Trust me, we are getting into
there you go.
that. Welcome, Aimée, to the Léim Thart Podcast.
Thank you for having me. How's things?
Oh, we're all right. It's a great old morning. Actually, I haven't looked at the weather outside yet, but we won't talk about the weather.
I'm like, yeah, my blinds are still closed. I'm a bit nervous to look outside now.
Yeah, I kind of have the top half is nicely done because this is on video, but I have my grubby trackies on.
Okay, good. That's
It's
okay.
nice to go for
I'll be
coziness.
I'll be honest. I have my slippers. Oh, where's my camera? I have my slippers on, so it's okay.
Well, they look great. Obviously, where do people know Aimée from? They've got the Irish Women in Harmony, part of that, and casually flexing the gold disc behind me. Don't think that went unnoticed.
Voila. Yeah, she's pretty. She's still wrapped in plastic because I'm too nervous. I'm like, this is my very first gold disc. Like the plastic wrapping is still there because when I move into my new house, that's like it will be unveiled onto the wall then, if you get me. But until then, she's kept pretty safe.
Yeah. You really have to think about where you put something like that because I saw Mark Ronson do one of those videos for I think Architectural Digest where he brought them around
Okay.
his house and he said a friend once told me if you ever have something that you want to flex, the best place to put it is in like the guest bathroom or like just not the like
Yeah.
private bathroom that just you use because everyone has to use it. So he has
Everyone
a
uses it.
letter from
Yeah.
Stevie Wonder just over the toilet and
Oh, that's
Lady
so
Gaga
cool.
has her Grammys and her Oscar on a cabinet on the way from the kitchen to the bathroom.
Ah, so it's kind of like you're pretty much not shoving it in their face, but it's kind of like they're gonna see it. My biggest thing that I'm trying to hide at the moment is I performed on the Late Late Show a couple of weeks ago, and they made like this gigantic, uh, basically a big board of my face, like massive, huge. And as we were leaving, they were like, "We're gonna throw it out, so you might as well keep it." Like, and I was like, "Okay." So my dad put it into his van. He brought it here, and now it's like I have it behind my couch because I'm so mortified that if people come in to my house and see a big thing of my face, they're gonna be like, "Oh my god, she's not half mad about herself, isn't she?" But now I don't know what to do with it. It like I'm haunting myself because if I catch a glimpse of myself, I'm like, "Oh god, I can't believe that's in my sitting room."
Oh, that sounds spooky, all right. You've got other
Yeah.
tracks like Break Me, Don't Call Me Pretty, and Just a Phase Before Christmas. Millions of plays, Irish tour just recently. And we're here to talk about the brand new single, Nobody Else, which we've had for a few weeks to dance with now. Was just dancing to it about 2 minutes before you joined the Zoom call. So I was glad it ended before you came on. But
That would have been
so
funny.
that would have been funny. Great first impression. And so far, it has over 275,000 views on TikTok as a sound, top 30 of the radio chart within a week, and millions of impressions. These are a load of great stats, Aimée. What's the secret?
I didn't even know that. So that's really great. Thank you. What's the secret? I would say probably the Swedes. Probably the fact that I'm working
Hmm.
with amazing Swedish writers now, Swedish producers, and it kind of makes sense to my sound, like for years I've tried to find the right mix of, working with songwriters that are basically I don't have to explain the pop sound that I want. They just get it. So I'm like I was kind of my eyes were well opened when I started working with Swedish writers and stuff. They just get that pop sound. It's the pop capital of the world, so of course they do. But yeah,
What I always say, yeah, keep the Sweden wristband on all day.
oh, love that. Oh, I love that. That's great.
No, yeah, I think we share a lot of opinions. I'm the one that like forces Scandi pop onto everyone else.
Oh God.
You know, because you're like, they just have it.
But I mean, that's where it has come from, in a sense, because the Britney, Christina, NSYNC era that came from Max Martin, Dennis, like the biggest pop writers in the world from Sweden, they pretty much paved the sound for pop, you know? And still to this day, that's the crazy thing. So many of them writers and producers are still making songs for the likes of Ariana Grande, The Weeknd, like the most current singers. So it obviously works, you know? Like no matter what, it's kind of it's contagious pop music. That's really what it is.
Yeah, they have such a sensibility about it that most hip hop songs that you hear on the radio or in the charts, if you look up the credits, there will be at least one, I'll be conservative and say Scandinavian writers, because the Norwegians are not that far behind.
Yeah. I like it's crazy because the difference in even the songwriting process when I'm working with Swedish writers is like there's just so much less judgment when it comes to actually the writing. So I think we tend to, especially Irish people, like we tend to really overthink things, and we're thinking like, what would people think of this? And we think ahead a lot because we want to, I don't know, I think we're kind of our own worst enemy, really. But in Sweden, I found they're kind of like, who cares if it doesn't make sense? Just say it. It sounds good. You know, they don't really think too much into it. I mean, the perfect example is for people to watch that show, This Is Pop, on Netflix, and watch the Stockholm Syndrome episode. And basically, they're talking about the making of Want It That Way by the Backstreet Boys. And it's like, want it what way? It doesn't even make sense. But who cares? It sounds great. You know, that's the best kind of example that I always say to people if they don't really get what I mean. I'm like, just watch that episode and you'll get it.
That's a reminder. I need to watch it.
Oh, have you not seen it?
No, but I've had a friend badgering me about it for a year or 2 years, and I keep being like, I will, I promise. I know it's the perfect show to watch and everything like that. It's all your passions in one, but never did it.
Oh well, I mean, you've got a couple of days now, so watch it. Make sure you do. It's so good.
Okay. Can't wait. And obviously, when I looked up, as I said, if you look up the credits and you see everything like that, you worked with Richie McCourt, which I love to see. Love his work with Leisha, by the way.
Yes.
And obviously, Nick, I think that's obviously where the Swedish influence comes from. How did the track come together when the three of you were in a room on Zoom?
Yeah. We were writing a lot together over Zoom. And myself and Richie have been working together for a good few years now, and we just work so well together. He's the best way to describe him, Richie, when you're working with him, is he's a very safe place when it comes to writing. And for me, especially if I'm writing a lot of personal songs and stuff like that, that's what you need. There's not an ounce of ego in the room, which is like so important when you're working with somebody. So yeah, we started working with Nick on Zoom over lockdown, and we released Just a Phase together a couple of months ago. So we purely did that on Zoom. I had never met Nick in person up until that point. And then in January, when the world opened up, I was able to actually go to Sweden and finish Nobody Else, because we actually started writing it and stuff on Zoom. So I got to go to Sweden in January, finish it, had the best time of my life. I booked my flights like the day after I came home to go back, which I went back a couple of weeks ago. And I've just been writing the best songs I've ever been writing the last couple of months, which has been a really good boost for me, because especially having 2 years off, it's very hard to get back into the swing of things. But when you're writing music that you're like, I want everyone to hear these like right now, it's really exciting. So yeah, I'm so glad that Nobody Else is finally here, because it feels like we've been working on it for so long. And I'm delighted that people love it, because I loved making it.
Yeah, and it's so upbeat, it's so happy, I think it's just like one to like blare in the car when you're on your way, like to do something good or something fun, you know?
Yeah,
That
yeah,
sort of
definitely.
thing.
I had in my mind, because I remember I was writing a couple of different songs before writing that one, and they were definitely more kind of serious. They had like an undertone to like something that was important that I wanted to talk about, type of thing. But when I was writing this song, I envisioned like that, a road trip with your friends, or pre-drinks, getting ready to go out, like, because this was at a time where we couldn't even go past our shop. So I was like, I just want to write a song that people can listen to when life is back type of thing. So yeah, I'm just so glad that people can actually listen to it and leave their house. You know.
Well, you timed the release pretty well, and something that has come up already in the chat, but I have a whole paragraph about because I am so jealous of you. So jealous of you. And it can all be summed up in 3 words. Max effing Martin. As soon as I saw that you had met him, I was like, an Irish person in the room with him. I wrote a college essay about him of just like, he's a hero.
I know.
He's just like a legend. And I'm like, you're always just like, what's he like? Because for one of the biggest producers in the world, he's very quiet.
Very quiet.
You don't hear much out of him. It's very rare that he gives an interview.
Yeah. I didn't even ask to get a photo when we were leaving his house, because I was like, I knew he was very, very on the low, and he's not on social media, doesn't really do interviews and stuff like that. But he was, honest to God, like one of the nicest people I think I've ever met. Like, we were sitting there for almost like 2 hours in his home studio in Stockholm, and I felt like I was talking to someone that I knew. Do you know what I mean? Like, I had to kind of keep reminding myself as he was talking to me, like, that's Max Martin. That's him, like right in front of you. And he just gave me some amazing advice that has like changed how I record music and how I make music. And he's listened to a lot of my unreleased songs and stuff. And he was just like, I was even just sitting there petting his dog. His dog was on my lap, and I was just like, you're Max Martin's dog. But he was so cool, like, and so lovely, and like what you'd imagine when people say like, don't meet your heroes, like they're not always what they crack up to be. He like exceeded my expectations, like just super nice guy.
Yeah. Actually, Lyra was on recently, and she was talking about how she worked with like Blood Pop and Burns and Rami Yacoub at his LA studio.
Yeah.
And she spilled a few bits on that, but like it's the same thing. It's like, what's he like? You'd be wondering, like, you'd be sat there with Max Martin's dog wondering like, whose music have you heard that I don't know that yet?
That dog knows everything. That dog has heard all the demos. That's so true. The dog is just like, I don't know whose house I'm living in, but this life is great and this is amazing music, and he has no idea. But yeah,
the dog has heard the dry vocals.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, what did you learn from it?
Well, he kind of like, he was listening to a lot of my stuff, and he was like saying like, you've got a great voice, and super complimentary. But then he was kind of like, basically in a nutshell, he was like, you know, you don't have to be perfect when you're singing all the time. Like, you should try and be a little bit less perfect. And nobody's ever told me, like, from all the years of doing like even vocal training years ago, or even when I used to be in a choir when I was a kid, like, we were never told like, be less perfect, which was something that I've never been, you know, told when it comes to recording. And since then, the demos and the difference in the songs are like, just like, that was only one of say 10 tips that he gave me. But even just that, like, I'm kind of, in other words, like when I'm sitting down to record a song, I'm not thinking, right, hit every single one of these notes. I'm like, right, let's get the emotion across, let's get the attitude across. When to me before, the perfection was more important, and if it gets a bit of attitude, great, you know. So it's definitely 100% changed. It was kind of just like a light bulb moment where I was just like, oh my god, yeah, that's what my songs were missing, you know.
Wow.
And he actually heard nobody else before anybody else heard it, and he gave us a change to make, and the song was supposed to come out a week later, and we pulled it because Max Martin gave us a change to make, so it ended up coming out like 3 or 4 weeks later.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because we had like an extra pre-chorusy thing for this after the second verse, and he was like, people have already heard it, like, stop teasing them, just give it to them. He was like, just go straight into the chorus. And I was like, oh, the most Swedish pop thing ever. Like, why didn't we something so simple? But when it went straight from verse 2 straight into a banging chorus and nobody else, it was like, oh my god, this makes so much more sense. And he was like, even saying to Richie, like, remove some of that filtering on the vocals, like, bring up the drums more, do that. Like, it was like a free masterclass. It was insane.
Yeah.
Insane. Yeah.
Oh my god, that's insane. Having Max Martin like leave his little fingerprints on your songs.
I know, sure, I was half gonna be like, written, recorded, produced and edited by Max Martin.
Recorded in Sharon.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I wouldn't do that. No.
All the way. Yeah, so that's obviously for the whole new song Nobody Else, and you've had the Irish tour just recently. You've got Independence booked for the summer. Have we got a few live dates on the way to catch you out?
We haven't got anything yet that is to be announced.
Okay, no exclusives.
But we
I tried.
will. Yeah. We will hopefully have some more gigs happening in the summertime. But the next kind of couple of weeks is like I'm back to London next week before like I'm going to LA in June. It's kind of like everything is just happening really quick now. But we're just focusing on getting the next single out in the next couple of months, and yeah, we'll see what comes after that.
Well, absolutely can't wait to catch you at a gig. Wait for more of the music, especially if Max Martin has worked on it with you and Richie and all. But
Yeah,
thank you so much, Míle buíochas, Aimée, for coming on to Léim Thart.
no problem. Thanks for having me.